Okay, what's up, guys? So today somebody asked me, they're like, "Well, how'd you get into like real estate?" And there's like no easy answer for that because that kind of thing doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time, unless you have like inheritance or somebody with money that's gonna fund the whole thing. That would be dope, right? But most of us don't have that. So the biggest thing, right, is that you have to come up with capital, right? Because you have to have a down payment on a house. That's a no-brainer, okay? When I bought my first house, I had 40,000 down, and I was only paying 96,000 for the house back in 2010. The market was a little lower, way lower, and the house was in Arizona, so things are cheaper. But you definitely don't need that much, right? You can get a home loan for like with $10,000 down all day. I mean, as long as you pick a house that works with, right? And so it might seem like $10,000. I know for me, for a long time, it seemed like a lot of money, right? Like way far-fetched. And that makes sense, right? Because the minimum wage in Oregon's what, $12? And so if you're working 40-hour weeks before taxes, you're only bringing in like $1,900, just about 1920, I think. So after taxes, right? So just say they take a third, because that's what I always assume, right? You're gonna only be bringing in $1,280, and with bills and rent and everything, that's like, it's hard, right? It's hard to save any money, okay? So my rule is like, try to save at least 20% of my check, right? And if you save 20%, that's like $280, okay? And that's at minimum wage, you know what I mean? And so $280, would it take roughly 3 years, just a little under, to turn that into 10,000? Which, I mean, that seems like a long time, right? But I mean, let's face it, 3 years to purchase a home, it's really not that crazy, right? And the cool thing about purchasing a home is that rent now becomes a mortgage, and so now you're paying yourself for the house that you're getting, right? You're paying into equity at that point. Like, you're not just losing money. Rent is just, you're throwing away money every month, and you're getting nothing out of it, okay? Besides the place to live. You might as well own the place you live and give the money back to yourself, right? So that's huge, right? 3 years, and then next thing you know, you could be buying a house. But what else can you do in those 3 years that's essential, right? It takes two things to buy a house. Two things, right? There's capital for the down payment, and then there's credit. Credit's a huge one, right? It's super, like, in my generation, it seems like people are like, have no idea how to build credit, which is, it's crazy to me, right? Well, I mean, my parents were never good at it either, but anyways, so credit's like, it's not as hard as everybody makes it out to be. And the biggest mistake I see everyone around me making with credit is they're like, well, I gotta have, you know what I mean, have a balance out in credit so that way I can build credit. That's not true, right? So like, I pay off my credit card in every statement, right? Pay it off. I don't ever spend money that I don't have, because I don't like paying interest, right? Then again, like, it's just like paying rent. You're throwing away money. You're just giving it away, right? And there's ways to get around that, like zero interest credit cards for a year. Use that one, you know what I mean, if you want to carry a balance. But my rule of thumb is use credit cards for everything you can and pay them off before the end of your statement, so that way you don't get interest, right? And on my credit cards, usually I'm earning cash back 1.5%, you know, which doesn't seem like that much, but again, that adds up, right? When you're using it for literally everything, okay? So that's cool, right? Build credit at the same time, so that way over those 3 years, you know what I mean, while you're saving up the money for that down payment, you can have the credit to be able to do that at that point. So it's not rocket science to get into real estate. It does require patience, and buying houses and property is very, very stressful, I will say. The thing with the money that you're putting aside, hopefully you can put aside more than $280 a month, right? And I know sometimes that's hard, but I mean, that should be, you should try to make that doable. Stop smoking cigarettes. $6 a day sucks. Been there, done that. Stop drinking coffee. Again, $6 a day sucks. Okay, drink coffee you make, right? That's cheaper. Just those little purchases. Stop eating out as much. It's like, I did the math the other day, and it's like I was spending, what, $200 a month eating out? It's ridiculous, okay? So there's little ways to save money, okay? I'm not like an expert by any means in any of this. Just telling you what's worked for me. I hope that it helps. You know, if you guys have any questions, you can always hit me up. Yeah, I'm done pacing back and forth in my room.